Hello people, this is another dose of Drew for you today. Today I'm going to be working on the Paramilitary 2 and changing scales. So yeah, if anyone is unfamiliar with the Paramilitary 2, it is pretty cool. It's a pretty sweet little knife. I am actually more of a fan of the Para 3 Lightweight, both for lots. Actually, one of the biggest reasons is it's not so much the size, which is nice. The lightweight is the other thing, but it's more contoured. And so I went ahead and purchased these Flytanium scales. They're contoured. They're not only contoured on top, they have specific contouring right where particular features are on this knife. And so that being said, this is the S45VN version of the Paramilitary 2. I have taken off the regular clip and put on an MXG clip. For anyone who is unfamiliar, MXG clips are pretty sweet. I do like some. I personally like the Lynch Northwest clips most for the leaks and that sort of stuff, the blurs. But when it comes to certain other ones, like on here, this is pretty sweet. This little bit right here is nice. There's tons of other stuff you can say about it. They have all sorts of things that works for all sorts of stuff, and they almost all have this rounded, no straight, flip up bill. All right, all those things being said, I'm gonna take out my MXG clip. I may not put it back in this video just because there's some tricks to go to it, and this will be long enough as it is, as I have not done a lot of prep before this video to make sure I have everything here. This is, oh, and it is non-captive pivot. Damn. For those of you who don't know, this is a WeHa bit set. This is also a CRKT. I do have a CRKT bit set. This is the CRKT bit driver. Brass driver has the T6. These are two T8s. I did prep for the captive pivot, actually. It may not be. That came out pretty good. It looks like it isn't, but I should be surprised if there's a... Oh, I didn't realize they were T8s all through here. That is fantastical. Just to give it a little, just to reduce the strain on there. All right, so this will be the left side over here. The non-clip side goes there. And for those of you who are wondering about my bits and my drivers, I have the CRKT brass driver right here. This is a CRKT brass driver. It comes with the CRKT tool roll. It's a nice little roll. You can find these at most places. As far as I can tell so far in my use, these are pretty sweet. Also the WeHa mini driver, it has all that. There's several things to get in there. I have a WeHa bit driver set as well. That's not really handy. I really only use a couple of them. This is another sort of cheap driver, but this one is a ratcheting driver, which I usually keep it on the middle where it's locked for both, but the ratchet does come in handy sometimes. That being said, in fact, ooh, what's going on there? Ooh, little hole up there. Not very often do I need to do this, but sometimes it just has to be done. Oh, looks like the body here needs to be held while it gets released on the screw. And it quickly loosens up, can't use the ratchet no more. One standoff bit there, another there. Standoffs up top. Not really sure why that is. For you wondering, Leatherman Wave Plus. And in case you're wondering, it's mine. Oh boy, let's see, what else do we have here? Slightly, a little bit right there. Try and see if I can, nope, got the pivot in the way. Interesting indeed. The bushing. This looks like it's one of the new Total Quality bits. It is a captive pivot, but they definitely had one side more so than or a non-captive pivot, but they had one side more so than the other. All right, and here comes some of the hardest parts of these. Can I get this without getting too crazy? Maybe not, maybe. One of the things, I am not a lanyard fan, just saying. Lanyard tube out, liners out. Again, Husky, just a pointer tool, scribe, or anything you want to call it. It does have a wonderful little beauty of being pointed, so it makes a nice lever. All right, have these things all pulled apart. G10, a little bit of, looks like a little bit of oil and grease in there. Fantastic, all over the place. G10, square, blocky, works good. A little bit of texture in there. Ooh, and we have our, I do like chatoyance on carbon fiber. All right, a little bit of other things here. Just do a little quick cleanup on all this stuff. If anyone's wondering, I don't have everything. If get the band, that usually works pretty good. All right, a couple of things first here. First things, wow, if I can get this stuff off of here, get a couple of all right, clean up some of the washers there. Everybody's wondering, is there better stuff to do this with? Possibly. There's a lot of things out there that are for cleaning, getting stuff off, may work a little bit better. Alcohol works really good for grease and all sorts of other stuff. It tends to do a pretty good job on patinaed stuff, you know, deposited. What you have not seen me do already is clean out the carbon fiber scales. Almost anything you get carbon fiber, one of the downsides to carbon fiber is that it's dusty. When these things are carved, the carbon bits and all the stuff is tiny, tiny little carbon dust that's like glass. It doesn't get into you, but you don't want to breathe it in. You don't want it in any, you don't want it on you in any possible way. You can avoid it. It gets in stuff, it can get into your skin. It's not good. It's not as bad as fiberglass, but it's still not good. So those have been ran under the sink and wiped off and cleaned, so they've got this light color on here now. This will change as you go through. You don't need to worry about oiling them, but it does get all the dark dust off, makes them look a little bit more, and really brings out that chatoyance. Stuff that makes it look like it's radiating off those steps when it's not. Makes it look like it has depth that just isn't there. Really a beautiful thing if you ask me, but that's a whole nother bit. And there we are. Start to clean some of these off. Got the old washers off right there. We'll get a little more alcohol on the rest of this bit right here. Clean off the liners. Get all this stuff nicely done before we go further. As long as I have this open, I'm going to clean all this off. This is not unusual if everyone's looking. It's been a little bit, it's had a few flips. This has been broken, and normally I would do this to pull, I would do this anyway after a few bits simply because it needs it usually, especially with carbon fiber. Anything carbon fiber, you start using it, as it starts wearing in, that dust will get into the oil, the grease. If there's just bearings, those dust is usually a little bit. Carbon fiber needs to be worked out of crevices. There's all sorts of stuff that goes along with it. It's just kind of how some things go. But that being said, here, and these things don't seem to have any thread locker on them, which is fantastic if you ask me. They're put together with solid, oh, there might be just a tiny little bit. The tiniest bit of tiniest bits, I guess. We will be putting some on when I go. I will not be reinstalling the MXG clip in this video. It just takes a little while. I'm going on there. There's other ones that can go. The smock is particularly difficult if you ever have used those. They even say you can't use their screws with it. I have had to. There's a whole trick to it. But that being said, right now I'm looking at these. We've got, the screws don't seem to have a lot of worry or a lot of issue. There's not a lot of dirt on there. I don't like what I'm seeing right there on that washer. And I don't necessarily like how that's turning out. If anyone has ever heard about polishing washers, I'm going to give you a little quick bit. I do this to get some of, if you see some of these things on here, let's see if I can get that in focus. Where's this thing? See how there's that little bit of white stuff on there? I don't usually polish washers, right? You can, this sort of thing, but this is about a 1 micron strop. And I just do a few circles on it. I have a 5K. This can be done more. I mostly want to try and get any crap that's on there off. I'm not trying to overly polish it. That's why I start at a high grade. I'm not trying to grind it down like you would an edge. I am literally using the strop abrasive to grind down all that crap that's on there while smoothing it out. Let's see, you can still see some of that. See some of that gook. That's polishing. I have polished washers down to almost nothing. I can't believe the number of people that also do the same thing, but I don't anymore. I thought that was I need to really just, no, you don't. There's nothing you need to mirror up on there. And this is just not wanting to clean up so well. This is essentially all I'm doing. I'm smoothing out the top by trying to get all the patina, any oxidation, stuff that's just a couple of microns deep. Well, guess what? This is a 1 micron strap. A 5 or 6,000 is about, 6,000 is about what, a 4 micron? 2.5 micron, I should say. 4 micron, I believe, is about a 4,000. About a 2.5 micron for 6,000. That's pretty amazing. I think it's 2.5. I think 2 or 1.5 is 8. Or 1.5 micron, and then 1 is like a 12. But and then for some reason, half a micron is 50. Depends on which one you're going. As the grid isn't, I believe this is approximately a 1 micron strop. This is approximately a 2.5 to 3 micron. Trying to get some of that off, it's only somewhat working, but you notice that it's kind of rubbing off and all the other parts of it are getting slightly polished. So I'm not even getting all the oxidation off while I'm still polishing this. So there's something to be said right there. Just to make both sides even. So I have one that is and one that isn't. Just give the other side a little bit of a rub so that it kind of gets any other oxidation or anything else off. Shouldn't be a lot of oxidation. These are phosphor bronze. Bronze tends not to oxidize. I keep using oxidation. It's just patina. It's other stuff. It's other things on there. All right, polished little bits there. Oof. Pivot barrel. For anyone who has ever tried something like this before, here's what I do. I try to get the alcohol into the parts of it, and then with my little scraper, I just try to make sure there's no thread lock or anything in there, that it's nice and clear. Usually just a little bit of a small little filament of paper, because it's wicking into the pivot barrel, will do pretty much all you need to get any residual alcohol out, and it'll just wick it away. And that's the pivot barrel, I believe. Oh no, that's not. Dang, I did the wrong one. This is the pivot barrel. That's just the front standoff. Andrew gets it wrong again. All right. This is the pivot barrel. This is the pivot bushing, I should say. I guess that's what they call it anyway. And I have to agree, at this point in time, you guys, if you can't at least flatten a couple of sides of this pivot barrel so one side of it is captive, come on, man, square that circle a little bit. Give me some flat sides so that it's in there. This is ridiculous. I have to buy two drivers. Come on, man. Why? That can't be easy on the production. I guess it can, because it doesn't matter where it go in, but seriously, how much time, effort, money can it take on a production line to make sure and align this? You do it with everything else. You align stuff anyway, even if it doesn't matter which way it turns in, so it really can't be that much. I mean, come on. Anyway, there's my rant on non-captive pivots. It drives me nuts. I don't like having to do it. I've stripped more pivots because I've had to have two things, and it's... Anyway. Whine. Bitch. Right? Anyway, this is starting to get a little bit long here. We've almost got this done. Talk, blah, blah, blah. No one here to talk but me. Ain't that funny? Clean a little bit of the stuff inside there. Make sure it gets it all off. There isn't a whole lot of anything left on here. Let's see here. Let's check this out. Oh, pivot ramp. Okay. That's cool. We got a little pivot ramp there. Smoothness where it's rubbing. I can see some polishing on that one side. That's weird that it's polished on that one side though, isn't it? That's kind of cool. Interesting enough. All those holes in there. Interesting indeed. I see. Hold on a sec here. Oh, let's go da. Okay, so yeah, no, that's interesting. Okay, so there's closed. So that first one's closed. Those are just machining holes. Awesome. All right, ouch. How bad did he get himself? Well, he accidentally poked himself the blade because he was being too quick. Not enough to bleed. Not much for camera. If it bleeds, it leads, and I ain't even bleeding. Man. Woo! Back on track. So this does qualify, I suppose, as a disassembly video, though that's not really what I'm shooting for. It is, however... See, now, am I just missing something? Or is there a flat spot? That's a D. There is. I take everything I said back. This is the first time pulling apart the PM2, and that does have a flat side. I didn't see it till now. You know what? I take everything back I said and admit my wrongdoing and my complete and utter lack of real observation before I spoke. So yeah, there it is. Everything I was complaining about, yeah, they did it already. They were way ahead of you, Andrew. They just that little tiny flat side right there goes into. See that little tiny flat side? Woo! Weird, huh? The flat part, believe it or not, goes into the flat part. For all of you who messed up on getting the blocks right when you were a kid in grade school, well, tough duties. You're still not getting it right. Oh boy. I use two different kinds of thread lockers depending upon what I'm using it for. I have the Loctite Purple, which is really, really light, and I have the Loctite Blue. Loctite Blue works really good for a lot of stuff, especially on ice, but I've also found that Loctite Purple never holds on hard enough to strip the screws. But it does keep them generally from wobbling out, except for maybe the pivot. That being said, I am not trying to do anything else today. Well, that slid in like it was meant to. I don't remember anything ever being that easy. Come on. And since this is the locked side, and this is the one that didn't come through, I will blue thread lock this side. Do I care? Not really. Why? They say. Andrew says because I can adjust the other side. And even though I did it before, I put the screws for the non-clip side on where the clip is. That's because the clip is way over there. It should probably be somewhere else, but I wanted to keep it on camera. I try not to put it anywhere like these, because these do have little magnets right up here, which is awful nice sometimes. But like so many others, just a little dab of the thread locker in there, tiniest little bit. Don't want that too crooked. Sorry, guys, this is not wanting to go in. I don't really want to grab it with my Leatherman just yet. There we go. I have to grab the Leatherman. I fear I will cross thread it, and that looks like it's going in right. No cross threading necessary. Bam. And just because dun, 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 dun. Can I get it to match up? There we go. And another little tiny dab. Oh, did I miss a screw? I may have. I think I may have, honestly. Okay, where's that? I cannot. I must do this the other way. That is why. That is why they said you must, young Padawan. The extra rib on the barrel prevents it from reaching, and that's why it will never touch. So we must thread the barrel on, I guess. It'll give us something to start with, and boom. Alrighty. And Andrew, if you will remember correctly, you can now take this off, even though you put the thread locker, because you were stupid and forgot to put the washer on. Anybody ever done this before? No? Oh, good. It's just me. Fantastical. Question is, do we put... I will put the gookie side of this down. Dun, 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 dun. And because of that, the flat side goes towards the back of the... Now then, ooh. Here is my turn to do a quick shameless plug for KPL. I do actually really like KPL. I am also a fan, if anyone is, Nano Oil is another great one, but they are pretty close. And I have become the heavy for the pivot, for the bearings. There is something I generally do. But I used to do the regular KPL, which is nothing wrong. I believe this is a 15 weight or a 10 weight or something like that. They have since come out with the KPL Ultralight. Especially on a washer based, oh baby. This lightweight does wonders on there. Does not take much. In fact, if you've ever watched some of the others, it's really easy to over oil a knife. I tend to put 3 small drops, just to make sure it will spread. I also do tend to, believe it or not, lubricate the pivot barrel. Often, it's just easier to do it on the knife though. Can't believe it or not. Bam. And then like that. So for anyone who is wondering now, blah, 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 what happens next? In fact, I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going to do something with this pivot barrel that I really, really kind of hate, but I'm not upset about. Tiniest little bit. Oh, that is not a tiniest little bit. What happened to you, you silly little squeeze bottle? My goodness. I will, however, spread it to a very, very thin amount. Keep it from rolling off. And if you're wondering, yes, this is going to lock this in place. Do I recommend that? No. Do I often do that? No. On this particular one, yeah, because I don't really want that spinning. Next bit, KPL Heavy. So the thing we established is going to be the detent for when it closes, right? So you've got that, basically that sort of thing. So it comes down, bang. Well, KPL Heavy in there. And that will get some of there, and then try not to let too much of it leak into a little bit of ultralight again. Oh boy, trying to keep enough on there to work without it going crazy. See if there's a particular one that looks better. Again, the less oxidized or less patinaed side, I'm just dropping on. There we go. There's my primary bits right there. You say, what? How can that be? Well, I'll show you. It goes like this. And okay, now we're cooking with gas. You go back in there. There's all that. Pivot into 2 barrels. Wow, will that even work? We do it like that. I have never tried this without putting it in the scale first. And I might start trying it that way in the future. Seemed to work all right. Okay, now here comes the other part. Dun, 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 dun. Where's my, I know I've got something around here that's just essentially a little piece of crappy plastic. Hey, essentially, oh, silly me, silly me. Still can't be gentle. There's my silly piece of little plastic. Come here, silly handle. Silly Andrew, silly handle, silly everything. We're on it. All right, so why did I do that? Well, quite honestly, so I can do this. Just a little bit of plastic, a little bit of the purple stuff. Why? It's lighter. The amount of brake force on it is much, much smaller. It's useful for certain things, but most importantly for me, it is super easy to dip. You just gotta have a little spot to put it all. And here we go with these. I don't have a particular, I try not to go linearly down the line. I try to mix up the order I put screws and other stuff in order to try to minimize anything I'm pushing, you know, like when you're trying to smooth paper and it makes it go off sides. I try to keep it from going wonky, if at all possible. Not gonna put on the pocket clip until I have cinched all these bad boys down. And just to help along, I know I got those typed to make sure nothing spins. I really do like how these are all T8. That is freaking amazing. And this is probably pretty tight right now. Tighten good. Break the seal. Back off and break the seal. Still pretty, ooh, that is not even drop shut. No, still got to loosen her up a bit. Whew. Ooh, baby. That makes it hard to tell center. It's a little bit better. It's pretty close. Could go just a little bit to the pocket clip side. This is weird. This is not usually. There we go. This is not usually something that is difficult to accomplish. And that looks like it is pretty much on pivot central. Is it tight? There we go. And blam. Here we are, done. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that cool? That is the Paramilitary 2 with Flytanium Carbon Fiber scales, contoured. It looks great. Feels even better in hand. The pinch grip becomes so much nicer with that. Oh, that extra bit right there that makes it narrower for that exact thing. Oh yeah, no, that feels good. That's nice. I can see why this is, man. Yeah, that feels better. That's a definite win right there in the ergonomic department. Wow, I did that. Here I am tightening it down again. That's not working right. I only have a few minutes to really get this dialed in. If you've ever used Loctite before, you only have a little bit of time to really get that dialed in before everything starts to set up. So I have to do this off camera. For those of you who are wondering, since I'm not talking through it, I'm trying to go fast. I've got it just about properly and perfectly centered, but it's not as drop shit as it was prior. So we're going to keep working on that just a wee bit. Broke the seal, hit the seal, centered. And I can't just seem to get that to work right. Did I miss something? Is there something else that has this? No, that's... Crack the seal. Crack the seal. I don't know how much of this is trying to do it on camera. Oh. That's not too bad. Well, that's all I'm going to mess with it on camera because that is pretty darn good. I may have to do a little bit of break-in after that cleaning and all that sort of stuff and get all the oil and stuff moving right. But man, oh man, that is some slick stuff right there. I really do like those Flytanium scales. This is 37 minutes of the Paramilitary 2 Flytanium Carbon Fiber Twill scale, replacing the stock textured G10. Not nearly as grippy, but it's not. I mean, it's smooth. It's again, as Nick Shabazz likes to say, if you're in a Vaseline factory, this is not going to be your thing. It just won't. But for most people, this is perfectly fine. And it's not super smooth. It's not polished carbon fiber. So there's still some matte texture to it, which gives you some decent grip. Not sure what to even say about this pivot barrel. That's just a little bit short in there, but almost sticks out right there. I'll have to really take a look at this again, but my goodness, you guys, this is pretty cool. I really do dig these scales. They come in titanium, they come in carbon fiber, they come in G10, they come in just about everything. Flytanium has a lot of cool stuff. I definitely recommend checking them out if you can. They even have a whole titanium screw and everything replacement, but I don't need that. I am fine unless they come in black so that it doesn't look like a bunch of rivets or something on there shining through there, so that the chatoyance on the carbon fiber can really come out. But that's it, you guys. There is the replacement Flytanium scales. Tear apart, reassembly, and everything else. Testing around, getting it going. Managed to do pretty good. Looks pretty sick. That is it, you guys. Almost 40 minutes in order to do so, and it took me a little bit of extra time. Had to go grab some extra supplies, but that is taking apart the PM2 and swapping the scales. This has been a dose of Drew. Happy for you guys to always be here and check things out. I want to go ahead and tell you, remember to watch it twice, comment as much as you like, be mindful of side effects, and remember to like and subscribe. This has been a dose of Drew. Thanks, everybody.